Captain's Log, episode 86. This week's episode of the Beer Vengers podcast is sponsored by the Beer and Cheese Collective, located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens. Enjoy their eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at the Beer and Cheese Collective. Home bar to yours truly, Captain Porter Brown Stout. The Beer Vengers is an unscripted podcast and is fully unscripted for the duration of the strike of the Writers Guild of America and SAG-AFTRA. Union Strong. Remember to like, star, and subscribe whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeervengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 86, Superchiller, Qu'est-ce?
We're the beer Vengers, beer Vengers, beer Vengers. We're the Beer Vengers.
Yes, we are. Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Astoria, Queens, I am Captain Porter Brown Stout.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Fresno, California, this is the Pale Male Hophead Huck.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in the County of Kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder.
And we are the
Beer Vengers.
Yeah.
Getting better every time, guys.
I know.
It is.
That one was juicy, like an IPA.
We keep thinking we've got it perfected, and then it's better the next week, or 2 weeks, or, we lose track of time because we drink, because that's why we're here doing the show. It's great to have Beer Wonder back here in the studio.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I know. I was in the far northern tundra, and it was an adventure, and I'm excited to share about it at some point. But it's nice to be back, gentlemen. Thank you for the birthday wishes from afar, and of course, belated birthday wishes to Father Brown Stout, who is always.
Oh yes, that's right. You both had your birthday right around, like within 2 days of each other, right? You were the 22nd, he was the 21st.
That's correct. Yes.
Excellent.
It is an auspicious time. It is an auspicious time, my friends.
Well, it's not just it is yes. It's not just the three of us here. We have a very special guest here with us today, a Beer Venger to be, as we by the end of this episode he will be a fully fledged Beer Venger, actor, writer, director, producer. Also, and really important for a podcaster. I should say that podcaster. Twice a week he does his.
Oh wow!
But in addition to that, probably most relevant for here, in addition to the podcasting part of it, is he's the bartender at the Quad Cinema. So we may even get a little talk here about picks and pints. Please welcome John L. Peacock.
Yes.
Well, thank you for the extremely long list of credentials for me to be on the episode. Thank you so much, guys.
You're quite welcome.
We're
thanks
happy.
For being here. Yes,
we're happy to have a fellow podcaster who's going to give us that really rich, deep podcaster tone that we're always striving for. So thank you for bringing the professionalism.
You're very welcome. This is just my normal voice.
Oh, okay, got it.
When you talk about the podcaster voice, reminds me of a New Yorker cartoon I saw a few months ago. This couple's in bed together, and she leans into him and she says, "Next time, can you do it in your podcaster voice?"
I've gotten that once or twice. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I certainly want to hear more about that as we go on. But before we do any of that, I think it's time for the pours, right?
Yeah, it's hot in Gotham right now, y'all.
Oh,
It is hot.
Oof.
It is hot. We need to cool this down. I don't know. In the County of Kings, it is definitely toasty. I don't know how it is in Queens County over there.
Oh yeah, it's I'm making a huge sacrifice by turning off my air conditioner to do this, so you don't have those noises in the background. This is what I do for you Beer Vengers out there, whether you're from whatever 15 states we're in. Whether I think last month we had some in India and Belgium and Germany, and I'm rambling on when we still have empty glasses. What am I doing?
Well, it's cooling off here in Fresno. It's only 91 today.
Well, then you're going to have to go last, Huck. I think that's the situation, and we are such a polite
You've eliminated
crew.
me, so
I know we've clearly eliminated you. So it's those of us left in Gotham. I'm gonna take myself out because we got 2 people in Queens. So you're gonna have to duke it out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, but I mean, I've got my pour. He went out his pour, but who should go first? Beer
Oh
Wonder.
my God.
Who should go first?
Again, y'all are in Queens. I'm gonna let you fight it out. There's you could do a tennis match. The Open is happening in your borough.
I'm the only one in Queens.
Well, actually, I'm at the border of Queens and Kings. I'm the Kings and the Queens. I'm in Bushwick, which is right on the border there.
Well, then, John, it does seem that since you are straddling the Great Divide, it would only be polite if you went first.
All right.
Well, yes. Also, he's our guest. Our guests go first.
Yes.
So yes.
There you go.
Yes.
What do you have, John?
Well, I appreciate that. I have a classic. It might be a little cliche at this point, but I have a Guinness. Guinness draft.
Good choice.
Well,
Nice.
look at that.
And honestly, the beer that should not be knocked.
No.
Never. Oh. Wow.
Oh my goodness, that beer was ready for you, my friend.
Yes, it was.
Oh wow.
This is a. Always got
yes.
proper glassware.
Yeah, that is that perfect, beautiful, dark colored Guinness that you want with that lovely caramel head. Oh, and it looks so good in that glass. It really does.
Perfect pour. Look at that. Good job, John.
Thank you very much.
So it's like you might be a professional or something. I don't know.
Or something like that, yeah.
All right, what else we got, Jim?
With all this geographical confusion, I forgot what order we were talking. I'm just going to let Beer Wonder decide. Oh, you think I should?
Well, we decided that Huck is last.
Well, yes, we did
because it's cold where he is, relatively speaking. So, hey, Captain, why don't you go next?
Sure. Well, I have a
sponsored pour.
That's
no
right,
way.
I do. I have a sponsored pour from the Beer and Cheese Collective. You know, it's funny when I was over there the other day talking to the provider, and she was looking for various things, and there were a few that I was like, I think we've had that one, where it turned out to be wrong. But fortunately, she gave me ones that we haven't had on the show before, and she gave me this lovely beer from Timber Ales called Palette Brulee.
Oh. Brulee Brew Couché.
Yes, it is a snack-sized stout conditioned on coconut and coffee.
Oh, now did they take the hot poker and put it in it? Because we know we have had some brulee.
Well,
yes,
right. I don't know if it's that kind of brulee, but it would be great to do a brulee with a brulee beer.
It feels that's meta.
There we are.
Oh wow! I mean, it's a dark beer, which was what we expected.
Nice darkness coming up, snack sized.
Yep.
Get the whole thing in there.
Snack size.
Yeah, it is. It's a 12-ouncer. So there we go.
That was on the can, wasn't it? Or...
It was. It said snack size. Oh, here we go. Look at the title in there.
Timber. That's a New York brewery, New York State.
It is. I'm not sure exactly where it's located, but it is a New York State brewery.
Got it.
All right, Beer Wonder. I guess by order of elimination, you would be next.
Yeah, by process of elimination. Well, this is going to be shocking to everyone as well because I just play this out.
Sponsored pour.
That one, yes. Yep, that one. I have a sponsored pour this week as well from our dear friends at the Beer and Cheese Collective. This one is from Ossining, New York, so we're keeping it in New York region, our local area. And this is from Sing Sing Kill Brewery. This is their Pride Rye It, which is their rye IPA. It's supposed to be hazy and juicy. Bright. The can art is bright pink with the pride flag on it. It's a beautiful little can here. And the internet says great things about it. Also, of course, this is one of the beers that was made in support of the Ossining LGBTQ Alliance. So cheers to that. We love a beer that gives back, as always. And let's see how this one pours. Okay.
Yeah, you may remember a couple weeks ago, I don't know when it was, but I had that. Oh, very nice. That looks great. This is one of those special beers that you can probably only get locally at the Beer and Cheese Collective, because this is another one of those beers that Rick White threw in his trunk when he was on vacation. They don't actually distribute here.
A dark beer. What is it? Amber ale?
It's a rye IPA.
Rye IPA.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
Yeah. So it's Yep, I'm excited about it. It already smells nice and juicy on the nose, so it should be a good one.
Very good.
Well,
all right,
my continuing
finally your
in the Arctic tundra that is Fresno, California.
In my quest to bring new breweries to this podcast, this is from Chapman Crafted Brews. It's a Pils, Chapman Crafted Pils, out of Orange, California.
All right,
very good.
And a nice Pils glass here. going.
Note to saying, I was looking at our spreadsheet the other day, and you have. I think you've. It's still obviously have more New York breweries, but California. I think we're up to like almost 40, or maybe more California breweries since you moved out there. Oh, that's lovely. That's a pill.
That looks so clear.
Yeah.
I feel like I can see straight through it.
That seems like a perfect Pils today. Right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a see-through scarecrow because it's straw colored. All right.
Oh, I almost dumped it. All right.
Don't do that.
No. Alcohol abuse. All right. Cheers, Beer Avengers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen. Never disappoints.
Oh.
Well, that is very creme brulee-ish.
Is the Guinness doing what it needs to, John?
Always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, what's everyone's take on Guinness out of a bottle versus Guinness out of a can with the little widget that they have in there versus Guinness on draft?
You know, I will actually. I'll go first. I feel normally the bottles I enjoy better. With Guinness specifically, I wanted it out of a can. I just couldn't find one today for this episode because I feel the widget gives a little bit of that the reminiscence of the nitro pour that you get from what Guinness really should be is out of a pour out of a draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, the widget is pretty cool.
Preferably out of a draft in Ireland.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's location specific. Understood.
Yeah. New York.
It's just brewed differently here, I think.
Yeah, New York has a couple of places that really pride themselves on trying to get the best American pours of Guinness. I've never seen another city that does that. And there's about that I know about a handful to like a dozen. And I'm sure there's many more because it's New York City and I don't know all the bars yet. But but there's
something
a couple.
to strive for.
Yeah, but other than that, really Ireland is the place to have a good. Sometimes even a super chilled Guinness if you find the right pub. Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot if you don't remember, but can you name some of those locations
of New York? Yes.
New York where you can get it.
Puck Fair, Ulysses is the first one that I really knew because I worked for the owners in a different location and they were super. Two of the three are from Dublin proper and really into it. Those are the two that I know right offhand, and there's another one that I just recently came into contact with. White Horse Tavern in the Financial District. Actually, for all the bland beers they have, the one thing they really pride on is their Guinness. And that last one is eluding me, unfortunately. But yeah, that's a couple for you.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad to have them because sometimes I feel like since I started getting more into craft beer that my palate has sort of moved past Guinness some of the time. I still enjoy it a lot of times, but I don't like it as much as I used to. And maybe I'm not getting the right places, so I'm gonna start checking some of those out.
It does make a difference. It really does. And obviously, Ireland's going to be better than anything in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got these. I think I had it on the show. Maybe the California can of Guinness, or I just talked about it. It's brewed in Ireland, but they're brewed for the state. So there's actually this California seal on it. And they're the nitro can pours. They're pretty good. I mean, it's my go-to at a couple of bars where the beers are questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, where I have to go for the Guinness.
Yeah. Fun thing about Guinness is they actually historically would brew different types of their draft and then into like the extra draft and then foreign extra, all specifically so that they could be transported to different distances because they realize how fickle it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting a little more info here on Timber Ales. We were kind of right about the New York connection. It says they consider themselves to be based out of New York, but they're brewed in North Haven, Connecticut, which I have a feeling that means they're at 12%. Because I mean I don't see them 12% listed on the can, but this is also I don't have my new reading glasses, and if it is there, but yeah, if it's not at 12%, it's probably very near 12%, possibly even distributed by them. But yeah, so a nomadic brewery is what they call themselves. Capital
yes.
N.
That's a good one.
Which I think I usually say contract brewers, but I think nomadic breweries. I think that's actually a good replacement for Gypsy.
Yeah, it has a nice ring to it.
Nomadic
it gives
is
me,
nice, yeah.
yeah, it gives me the sense of that they're very much on a quest. They're
Quest
moving.
to have their own brewery.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, this Chapman Pils is right on the spot, and when something's called a Pils like that,
Yeah.
beer historians here know that means
Mhm.
it's with German style.
Right.
Yes,
This is
Deutsches.
made with German Pilsner malt, Spalt and Saaz hops. I don't Spalt hops. I haven't heard of that.
I don't know. That's a new one.
And I don't know if it's the Spalt, but I get a real especially effervescent bitterness on the finish.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it pops on the finish, but otherwise it's just right on, like as if we were in Munich. Yeah, it's real nice pour, nice beer.
We love a beer done correctly. Well, I will say that this rye IPA or this Pride Riot, like throwing a brick, but with rye, is definitely. I was reading about it and they were very very intent on making sure we understood the pun. But is from Sing Sing Kill, and they are one of our lovely New York State farm breweries, meaning that they are relying primarily on local ingredients, specifically for their malt and hops. They exceed the minimum requirement with every batch brewed. I forget what it's up to at this point, but it's got to be getting close to 100%. But apparently most of the batches and most styles achieve about 100%. They also take a sustainability promise on their website, which I thought was pretty cool. So they do locally sourced energy, locally sourced equipment, and have intense water conservation, as well as they list a number of different energy efficiencies that they do. Beer takes a lot of water, and I think we often forget about how much water is used, so it's cool that they're putting a focus on this. But it's got all the juiciness that you'd want from a nice IPA with all the bite you'd want from a rye. So it is doing exactly what you'd want. I would definitely say this is a riot in my mouth.
Hello.
Very good.
There you go.
Yes, see, now I'm just thinking Pussy Riot, but that's a whole other thing.
Well, look, it feels like it fits. I mean, there's a lot going on with this can, but
yeah,
all
it's always
kinds of
good to
sexual
fit a Pussy
aberrations are
Riot
available.
in your mouth. Yeah,
exactly. Well, if that's your thing, I'm not going to yuck your yum, but
No, yes. That's see that.
We also need to earn our explicit rating, so thank you, Captain.
Fuck yeah, we do. Yeah.
There we go.
Or should I say?
Oh fuck yeah, my dude.
Hot. Into it. Very sexy.
There we go. But yeah, so I did want to read the rest of the description of Timber Ales, a nomadic brewery focused on dark liquids.
Ooh.
So that's specifically a dark brewery. This one, it's interesting. It says coconut and coffee. I definitely, if it's coffee, it's definitely coffee with a lot of sugar because it's got a very sweet flavor to it. It really does have that kind of creme brulee thing going. So much so that it's I'm tasting a little bit of the coconut, but it's overpowering it. But it's a very delicious beer.
That's what you want from a brulee. Now, having had a brulee beer, and of course, if you are a listener, you will have heard about our adventures in bruleeing. And if you are on the TikToks with us, which is where all the cool kids are, right? You will have seen the bruleeing. Captain, how do you feel this beer would fare if it were poked with a hot poker for a long period of time?
It doesn't do it for a long period of time.
It's as long as
you're gonna melt the glass.
Yeah, the whole thing just shatters in front of you.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like this one, just that extra little bit of warmth, even though it just sort of brings it down to cask temperature. I'd be very curious to taste that, and I'd really love to see what kind of foam it would produce. That brulee, that the way it mirrors the whole creme brulee, the hardened top of it. With that really thick foam that the heat brings it. So yeah, I would. I don't know if I'd invest in my own brulee to do that, or actually, it's a different. What wasn't there a name for that poker specifically?
Yeah, there was.
I mean, I don't know, but we do have an alcohol professional with us, so perhaps we can get some insight from.
Have you ever heard of brulee beer, John?
I have, but what I'm more thinking of is just a blowtorch. So I don't think I'm on the right track.
Well, there was a blowtorch involved,
right?
That was used to heat up the poker,
right?
Exactly. So you actually are 100% in the ballpark.
And this is something they were doing at Grim Ales out in
Brooklyn. Yeah, but yeah, that would be definitely something worth checking out. I'd love to see it.
Well, this is something, again, for future beer adventuring, I think we should keep this one on the list. And perhaps we can do some research on behalf of our dear following.
Well, all right. So we've got our pours. We've gotten these descriptions out, and we do have a guest who's here for the first time.
Oh boy.
So
Oh
we'd like
no.
to know a little bit more about
Oh brother.
how he came to be the beer drinker that he is. How
Oh boy.
how Guinness fits into what we might call his
Origin story.
Yeah, it's time for John L. Peacock's origin story. I haven't heard that in far too long. It's wonderful.
I was thinking the
Yeah.
same thing. It warms my heart in certain ways.
Yeah. So John, where did your beer journey begin?
Well, that's an interesting interesting question. So it's a little bit of a wandering, a little bit of a nomadic journey, if you will. Very early on in, I believe, middle school, my older brother, who was in his maybe 30s at the time, said, "Hey, you want to drink of this?" And I said, "Oh, okay," not knowing what it was. And it was definitely something on the lower end of a bad American cheap beer. Natty Light is what comes to mind, though I never found out exactly what that one was. And it was disgusting. It was terrible. And I went to my mom and I said, "Mom, I didn't even think that I was ratting him out, but I was. Alan just gave me a drink of his beer, and I realized something. I hated it. It was terrible." And she's like, "Great." So I thought that's what beer tasted like. And for a while, when I was going through my early drinking phases, I would only drink cocktails because I was like, beer is just, that's what beer is. And beer is just nasty, or natty, if you will. It wasn't until around the time, shortly after college, I'm skipping over a bit because there was the era of keg stands and drinking that said Natty Light, and thinking that again, or the Milwaukee Beast, thinking again that's the only thing that beer tastes like, so might as well buy the cheapest of the cheap. And then I went to Europe with some dear friends of mine for a couple of months, and one of the first places we went was Dublin, and I discovered a good tasting beer, and it happened to be Guinness. And that was the real beginning. That was the real origin of me as a beer drinker. That was one of the first places we were in 3 months. So we went to many wonderful places, Germany, especially Belgium, just all throughout, that had different beers that you could get in the United States, but I wasn't aware of. Many that you couldn't get in the United States, and just different styles, different flavors. There's a German saying of it's like angel pissed in your mouth. Now that's specifically about wine, but I feel it was kind of I felt an angel pissed in my mouth for the very first time out in Europe.
Wow.
Oh, that's very complicated. Lots of things happening in people's mouths today.
Yes, we got the pussy right. We got the angels. Yeah, it's interesting that the Europeans. It does seem to be. I guess when someone discovers fermentation, it really probably does feel like something truly divine. Because that also makes me think about how what's the whiskey out of Dublin?
Is it no, out of Dublin?
Jameson.
That one.
Jameson.
Right.
They also make Powers, and they make some other ones. So I went to their distillery, and that was the first time I'd ever learned about angel share. The idea that when you age a whiskey long enough, that the level goes down, and the idea that that's what the angels are taking of it, and that's the angel share.
Well, lest we forget, God is good. That was how we thought we were brewing beer. That it was divinely inspired to make.
Oh, sure, it's sipping a little Jesus there.
The gift of the angels.
What wasn't that the Franciscans? God bless the Franciscans.
Yep. Yeah, we love them. We love all of our brewing culture. In fact, I think the first person who ever drank a beer, they thought they were seeing God, which aren't we all?
Yeah. So anyway, back to Europe.
We've diverted back away from
very
Jesus.
religious on the show.
Yeah.
Well,
we're gonna lose our explicit rating.
Oh
no!
John. It's like it's a level. It goes up and down, and we're now going away from the explicit rating, unfortunately. So going to the Guinness, I believe they call it the storehouse, for that first trip. Since I've been to Europe that first time, I've been back a number of times, been to Dublin a number of times, and I know because I see it, and even when I talk about it, I understand it's so touristy. As one who somewhat deals in the industry of tourism, it is such a touristic monument of Dublin. It's probably the biggest one, and the Jameson factory, which isn't even it's not even the distillery anymore. They
Right.
moved it out
It's
to,
a
I believe,
museum. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a museum. But those, I see those as just like the epicenter of tourism in Dublin, and I don't even care. I love the fact that it's kind of shaped like a pint glass of the 9 floors going up, slightly wider each one. There's a waterfall in it, like Willy Wonka's factory.
It's such a fun place.
It's
Yeah.
It really
such a
is.
fun place, and the top is clear, just like the top of a pint glass would be, so that you could see over most of Dublin, 360 degrees. So
Great view, yeah.
it was a eye opening moment for me, and since um, I don't super collect, but I have a shirt that I've lovingly worn out so much that is my night shirt, that is Guinness. I had underwear at one point. I still have some flip flops. I am a Guinness fan because I feel it was the beer that brought me in. And since I don't drink it so much these days, especially because I know how much better it is out in Ireland. If I'm there, I'm drinking Guinness in a local pub. But here, I'm usually drinking something else, and I'm usually enjoying it more than I do enjoy Guinness out here, just because the flavor, as we talked about, is different. It's a little finicky. It's a fickle beast. So my palate has widened in so many ways, but I feel that Guinness was, in so many ways, the origin of my being an enjoyer of beer that led into a connoisseur.
Aha.
And
Fantastic.
and so how is that sort of morphed into like the world of craft beer?
Well, that is it. So, learning about beer on my travels, especially with my partner, whenever she and I travel, one of the biggest things we do is go to any place that's selling any kind of craft beer and finding the local one that we don't see anywhere else. And that's a big fun thing that has actually added to traveling in general. It's like, oh, okay, something we're going to do that has nothing to do with why we're there, or any thing we're seeing, any sites, any tourist stuff, is just finding a place that a store that will sell a craft beer that is local enough, and usually, if we can, drinking some there and then grabbing some to bring back to New York. And so the travels has been a big thing, influence on experiencing craft beers in so many different ways, because you only get so many craft beers in New York, and you get a lot. You get a whole lot more than most other places, but you only get so many. And I love going to the locals and finding what the locals are doing.
Oh yeah, that's always fun. We did something similar when we went to Munich the last night we were there, because we were on a pretty not traditional, I would say, beer tour where
It was pretty curated.
Yeah.
It was curated, and we drank a lot of the classic German beers.
Yes.
And the last night we knew there's this pub a mile away, and we walked to it, and it was a craft beer bar. It was like Pony Bar or Blind Tiger.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, what is this? And there were like 10 different breweries on the list that were German, that were making IPAs, that were making sours, and that were doing modern craft beers. I was like, where is this on our tour?
Right.
But so that's a great thing to do. Is to
Yeah, I think even the name of the bar was in English.
Yep.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And German IPAs, that's something I haven't really come across too much. How are they?
They were fine.
Okay. They
yeah,
do other beers much better.
Yes, I was really. I mean, ironically, the last beer that I drank was an IPA. The last beer I drank when we were in Germany was an IPA. And it was a lovely IPA. It was totally fine. But again, the beers that we had earlier on the tour at some of those locations definitely blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
As it should. If the Germans are not making their styles perfectly, so we're doing something wrong here.
Right.
It was called Tap House.
Yeah,
That's right.
Right.
Tap House. So when did you start working as a bartender?
Pretty early on. Serving and bartending is some of my early adulthood jobs. I started with serving, got into wine quite a bit, and the first bartending job was a wine bar. We
Oh.
had a couple of beers on tap, but it was you could buy bottles and for retail, or for I think it was a $5 corking fee, have the wine there. And so it was my first real big experience into the bartending world. And
Hmm.
even so, that the owner was paying for me to get sommelier lessons,
Oh wow.
and I was going on track towards that. So again, my beer venture has been very what is it? Circumventing super
I'm thinking
Cir-
serpentine with that gesture you're making with your hand, but
circuitous.
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 That's the
Yeah,
word.
I
Yes.
think that's the one. Yeah, I think I was circuitous and serpentine was the word I was
Mhm.
actually looking for. The combination of the two, which doesn't exist. So
Yes.
yes, I was almost a sommelier before moving out to New York, and then I was like, oh, I'll still pursue it. Oh wait, no, I have to start from scratch. Never mind, and I have to pay for it. Oh no, I'm good.
Oh man, tough town.
So yeah, since then I in New York bartended a couple of places with great cocktails, a great jazz bar, Zinc Jazz Bar, a nice uh, classic staple in the West Village. A couple of wine and beer places as well, and that's where I'm at currently, is a cinema that has a
Mm.
wine and beer bar.
I haven't been to the Quad in a while, but I don't associate that with beer. Do you know how long that's been happening
I do, because
over
I'm one of the
there?
first bartenders there. So they had a huge
Ah.
renovation and reopened in 2017, and that's when the
Okay.
Hmm.
the, the bar came in, and yeah, so it's relatively new. It's also you can't we can't advertise outside. Oh, I'm not advertising anything. We can't advertise
Oh.
outside of the quad because of the co-op of the building that we're a part of. The only way
Uh-huh.
we were allowed to create the bar for the cinema was to have it purely in house. So there's no signage outside. The doors aren't open directly to the bar. So it is relatively unknown. Even if you go to quad these days, you might you if you blink, you'll miss it.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Can
for
you
the
go? I'm sorry. Can you go without seeing a film?
You can, yeah, and I
Okay.
have a couple of regulars who do that, who come by
Oh, all right.
and just have a drink and a chat.
For
Love
the
it.
record, so John doesn't get in trouble here. The quad is giving us no remuneration for talking about them here. This is not advertising. Is that enough?
Yeah, it's
All right,
talking
cool.
about my life. I'm just talking about my life.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
this podcast.
it's your thing that I don't want to trigger because I'm not going to say it. But the story.
Right? Yeah,
Yes, that
yeah,
we're telling
It's the
right now.
story
Yes,
that
it's
we're
part of
telling.
your
Yes.
story. Yes.
how I'm an
You mean the
original, right?
You are. Oh my gosh. This was the analog trigger. Analog trigger. You got to be careful there.
So that's interesting. Now, the idea of that bar starting in 2017, were there specific laws? Because we've talked a little bit about it. Now, you've told
Hmm.
me some about it before. I get confused about which one started when, but was part of the reason that they had the bar was because the idea of having bars associated with movie theaters, those rules had changed a little?
They hadn't there it was becoming more friendly in the state of New
Hmm.
York for cinemas to have, basically we were allowed to have a license, which was relatively new, I would say in the
Hmm.
past 10 years ish. And that's how Alamo Draft House and other such Nighthawk and others
Yeah,
that bring in.
Nighthawk were they were basically the pioneers for
They
the whole thing
were,
in New York,
yeah,
weren't
for
they? Yeah.
sure, yeah. um, um, but that opened the way for Alamo to come in from Texas, but that
Yeah,
allowed.
they made Nighthawk do all the heavy lifting. It's like, oh, now that you're friendly for us, now we'll move to New York.
Yeah, exactly. We were just biding our time. Uh, but so it that but the full legalization of having the alcohol inside of the cinema in the theaters themselves is relatively new. It's newer than our bar. So Nighthawk and Alamo had to have a second. This is so like inside baseball, but they had to have a second license just for
We're
the
all about inside
cinemas.
baseball here.
Okay,
Hmm.
good. Yeah, they had to have a
We're a
second
podcast
license,
about beer, you know.
which is so financially unstable. Like that's why both of them were full like restaurants inside of the cinema.
Mhm.
They're like, if we're going to do it, we
Hmm.
have to make money from it, and it's hard to make money having to pay for two licenses every single month. And so that's why no other cinema was really allowing beer or wine or whatever the liquor they were selling to go into the theaters themselves until about 4-ish years ago, right before the pandemic shut down. New York switched that over so that if you had one license, anything you were selling on site, you could sell at your bar area, at the concession stands, and it could be taken into the theaters themselves. So New York is finally slowly catching up to, again, Europe, which has been selling alcohol for their cinemas for decades.
Yes, well, I remember that was heavily featured in Pulp Fiction.
Right.
And talking about what was the line? It's like, it's not in a paper cup. You can get a glass of beer.
Yeah, we still have the paper cups.
You do, yes. You're yeah, but still, it's progress. It's improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the other, I mean, I think there's the Quad now. They have some beer that you can get at the concession stand.
Yeah. Anything that's not on the draft. Obviously, we have we have 6 pours. One is not being used, so we have 5 taps right now. And obviously we can't take that out to the concessions, but any of the bottled or the canned beers is also available at the concessions. So you can get your popcorn, your Twizzlers, whatever, and
Milk Duds,
and a nice Montauk.
Oh,
that's perfect. Yes,
So
I do own stock in them, but they didn't pay you to do that, so that's fine.
Orange. Yes.
So now, as a professional here, I would love a pairing recommendation for your theater candy and your beer.
Oh yeah, and a popcorn.
Popcorn or something.
It's going to be the popcorn, and for me, one of my favorites on draft is our Keg and Lantern, nice little brewery out of in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. We have an unfiltered pale ale. So it's a hazy pale, and it's really goes great with unbuttered salted popcorn.
Speaking my language with the unbuttered part of that.
Oh yeah.
So
I had to make that specific because I'm personally not my thing. Buttered popcorn.
Yeah.
Bold. That is a bold stance, and I appreciate that. I never have buttered popcorn at home, but in movie theaters I usually do. I don't know why that is. Maybe because I make very good popcorn. I put salt and pepper on mine. And
at home I go good pepper as well. Yeah.
It was something I read years ago, and it was one of those desert island things. In the Village Voice, they were like interviewing chefs about how what food you would have on the desert island, or what, like last meal kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And one of the chefs said, popcorn with salt and fresh ground black pepper. And I tried it shortly thereafter, and that's how I always make it now.
Nice.
So, as someone who works, in a bar, and if you're sort of exploring places, I'm curious if being a bartender and working behind the bar kind of colors your ability to enjoy drinking environments, or how do you take yourself around as you're exploring in craft beer? Is there a way to turn that off? Talk to us about that.
In some ways, there is. Usually, when I'm at a bar, I'm not too picky. Many times I'll go for a beer and a shot, a Boilermaker, if you will, just because I know it's going to be much easier for the bartender than a Cosmo or Long Island iced tea or
an espresso martini.
Espresso martini or pisco sour. Ooh, that one at the jazz bar. Whenever the Brazilian band played, they always had so many pisco sours, and it's just it's the egg yolk, not the yolk, the egg whites, and just covered in it by the end. It was just terrible. So I find myself going a little bit more easy, quick pour, 2 seconds for the bartender, and then they can get to someone else, especially if they're busy. But also, I think this is from my serving days more than anything. I find myself bussing my table and my friends' glasses and bringing them up to the bar, basically like obsessively, without thinking about it. It's just like it's by rote. It's like, okay, that one's done, and the bartender always like, oh, hey, thanks for that again, cool. Sometimes, usually not weirded out, just thankful. But every once in a while, when I do it over and over and over again, they're like, we have a busboy, right? We have a barbox.
Well, I mean, some craft beer bars have minimal staff. So, like for instance,
That's
whenever
true.
they're
Yeah.
in the garden at the Beer and Cheese Collective, I always do that because really the only thing there in the backyard there is to bring you food. And so,
Yeah.
if no one is out there ordering food, your stuff could be like sitting there for an hour,
Yeah.
especially if it's a 90-degree day.
I find if I'm just with one or two friends, we belly up to the bar, and that takes care of itself. But if we're outside for any reason, or if we're at a corner table that I know the bartender's not going to get to it, without even thinking about it, I just find myself always getting those glasses back because at the Quad, it's a very small bar, and I run out of especially wine glasses super quick if
Yeah.
it's busy and people are not, bringing those glasses up. So it's just it's just ingrained in me. I've been trained well by the managers of the world.
Yeah, professional courtesy for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and as someone who has sort of a wide variety, a wide array of different, sort of beers at your disposal, it sounds like that you're responsible for talking about and knowing. How has that affected your sort of flavor profile? Are there specific styles of beer that really are exciting for you, or things that you like have discovered because of your location?
Well, I hate to disappoint you there, Beer Wonder, but I found that I really
Well
like
done.
the dark beers more than
All
the
right.
IPAs. I do like hops. That is a newer flavor palette of
Mhm.
mine. I'm not into the super hop. Speaking of the Montauk, it's a really kick you in the face West Coast style IPA,
The
and
Wave Chaser, right?
the Wave
Yeah.
Chaser. I'm
Yeah.
personally not a fan of it. I know anyone who was like, "Hey, you got something real hoppy?" I was like, "I got something for you. Trust me, buddy."
Yeah.
But I wouldn't find myself just sipping on that basically ever, unless it was just given to me, or like so yeah, if I had my choice, I like to go for the darker. I like to go for the higher octane. The imperial
Mhm.
stouts are big ones for me and my partner. Porters, imperial porters. That creme brulee is sounding very tasty to me.
Yeah.
There, Captain. So
Well,
yeah, I found myself going to the dark side.
now I know in addition to the dark side, I know that you and your partner have an annual ritual involving pumpkin beers.
Oh yeah,
It seems like a good time of year to bring this up.
Yeah, 'tis the season.
tis the
Yeah, we're almost
season.
there.
I think we are on our 10th annual pumpkin beer tasting festival.
Oh.
10th annual. And anytime
Oh
we
my
talk to people who
gosh.
don't know about it, they're like, "So who's putting this on? How can we buy tickets?" We're like, "It's the two of us, and you can't. It's just us." We for
I
about
was
2
gonna say I
months.
want to be invited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, no, not going to happen. Well, I don't know. We might open it up for the 10th annual. It is a big ceremony on that one.
That's true.
Big anniversary. But what we do is for about 2 months, starting around now, up
Okay.
until towards the end of October, we collect any of the pumpkin beers that are starting to pop up in the different bodegas and local grocery stores around New York and outside, especially if we travel. That's another thing. Like if we're traveling in these months, we are definitely grabbing anything we can that we won't be able to find back in New York. At least 2 cans or bottles of each, because we have an initial round, several nights of, especially if we have a good collection that we've gathered over those 2 months, up to 3 different nights. And the winner of each of those nights will go into a final round.
Oh.
And so we have up to 4, and it could be even more. This year, if we get a whole lot, we might have a full 5-night festival of pumpkin beer blind tasting. So one will pour with the little sticky notes on the bottom of the solo cups, so that they are all uniform,
Mhm.
and the other will switch around without seeing what is what. So it's a double blind taste test.
Mhm.
And my understanding
Very
is this is
good.
why you don't include really the dark ones, dark pumpkin ales, because you could just tell right away. Unless you did it with like a lid on it or something, you even then, I think
You'd be able.
I'd have a pretty easy time picking out a warlock.
Yeah,
Well, it'd be a separate category. Had to do pumpkin
Yeah.
stouts. and
exactly.
certain
Yeah,
nights.
we what we do bring in every once in a while, and it's kind of cheating because they've never moved on, even if they're delicious, are the ciders. the pumpkin
Mm,
ciders that come around.
yeah.
But Captain, you say that, but
It's like my favorite cider is a pumpkin cider.
which one?
Down east.
Oh yeah.
Most
Oh,
recently.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
we
a good
love
one.
Down East. All their ciders are fantastic, but their pumpkins can't be beat. Um, the Warlock is one of the only pumpkin stouts that we've come across, and I know
Mm.
you've actually mentioned some wonderful ones that you've had, but we can't find them.
Yeah. I mean,
We
I
might
literally
bring in
just
more.
just this afternoon I ordered one from. I've been filling my Tavor crate again, and I ordered one from Urban Chestnut. It's called Count Orlock Black Pumpkin Ale.
Where's
So I'm
that out
looking
of?
forward. It's out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Nice. Yeah, so we
It's
love our
got
Warlock.
a little picture of Giuliani. I mean Nosferatu on the
Nosferatu,
bottle,
right.
on the can.
Well,
We love our Warlock, but we never bred it in for two reasons. One, because we'd be able to tell, and two, we feared that it would just win almost every year.
It's the
Well,
best. Yeah.
So I gotta know, what have some of you, because we've had some discussion on this beer cast of pumpkin beers, and there is mixed feelings amongst our crew on them. So like, what are your conversion pumpkin beers? What are the ones that you change people with, and what are some of the winners from past years that you want to like call out?
Yes.
Besides the Warlock, of course.
The one, the only, the top of the top, the pumpkin
Okay.
is usually the winner. It always just goes straight to the final round because
No kidding.
yeah. It is a fantastic. We also love our higher octane. Of the not so high octane, Shipyard always.
Okay.
It's amazing because we love Shipyard by itself. We think it's a fantastic
Perennial,
pumpkin
yeah.
beer, but sometimes in the contest with the others, we're like, oh, it kind of tastes beery. But by itself, it tastes like a great pumpkin beer. So that's a fun one that I would not recommend to put into a festival, but just to have on its own.
I know they have the smashed pumpkin. as
Yeah, well, that's
Smashed
Smash
pumpkin,
or
another high
Smash.
octane.
Yeah, and the deal
The
is like
stronger
that
one,
one is from Shipyard, but that's exactly the one I was thinking of too, Huck.
Yeah.
Because it's Imperial, it's from Shipyard, and there's a lot more flavor to it than the regular Shipyard.
Right.
The pumpkin head, I think they call it.
The pumpkin head and the smashed pumpkin. The leaf pile. I forget who that's by.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Greenport Harbor.
Yeah. Blue Point also has a good one. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's fantastic. Sometimes it comes in number 2 in the final round.
Oh wow.
Which is surprising to us. Yeah, those are some of the standout ones for right now.
I'm also a big fan of
pumpkin makes
Schlafly.
sense.
Schlafly, yeah, that goes back and forth as well. It's always a great beer, but sometimes it advances, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
What
So
I don't
then-
like is
Why not?
Two Roads.
Oh, okay.
The Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby. That's what it was. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, they got a little rum action to that one, don't they?
It's just it doesn't do it for us.
Yeah.
We have actually banned it from the festival because
Wow.
it has been like dead last year after year after year.
It's been banned.
Yeah.
It's good to have standards. It's good to have standards. I was just going to ask. Then the real question I ask you is, how early is too early for a pumpkin beer
In the calendar.
in the
Well,
calendar? Yes.
That would be March when you have a pumpkin
Okay.
beer from last year
I see.
Oh.
Okay.
because
Got it.
they're not available otherwise.
I see. Understood.
So it's too
Understood.
late for it to be it's starting to go down, and it's too
Yeah.
early because there's no other pumpkin beers around.
Fair enough. All right.
A few years ago, I had a Harpoon UFO pumpkin on the 4th of July, and it was pretty good. It held up.
Yeah.
I was pretty pleased.
Yeah,
But
that's
not
another
always
great
the
one.
case.
I thank you for pointing that one out. Actually, that I think definitely got into our finals round, if not top 3 for this last
Did
year.
you do it with a cinnamon sugar rim?
Whenever we go out, we always ask for that
Yeah.
because it's one of the things I think the distributors insist on when whenever they because every place that has it on tap that we've noticed will say, oh, would you like a cinnamon sugar rim?
That's great.
And it does add to the flavor of it. It's really great.
Well, but before we get to the naming rights, I do think we need to.
Oh,
Did
right.
you say something? Have something, Huck?
No, I was just going to keep talking about pumpkin stouts, but yeah, we can.
Oh, okay. If you got another pumpkin, I want to hear what are the pumpkin stouts because I do
Remember
want
the
to
one we had? We used to have one at at Barcade back in the day.
Yes, it was
yeah.
Fisherman. It was from Fisherman and Cape Ann.
Oh, that's it. Cape
yeah.
Ann Brewing. Okay.
And it seemed, and that was like, Barcade was the main place I would see it. I think they have a relationship with that
Yeah,
brewery.
they had a relationship with them. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Is that
That
the
may have
one
been the
in
first
Williamsburg?
Pumpkin stout.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but they also have one on St. Mark's.
Right. Yeah.
I
Okay.
remember having it at Williamsburg.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent pumpkin stout. I remember that. Anyway, just wanted to throw that in there.
But with talking about all the whole movie theater thing and all those rules, we've been talking a little bit about the whole picks and pints thing, and I know we've all had a little bit of action in that regard lately. In fact, one of these is a film that I would not recommend having a beer before, just because we many of us have had the Barbenheimer experience at this point. Huck, have you caught up with any of that, or
I've not seen Oppenheimer.
but you have seen Barbie?
Correct.
Excellent. And so I think the rest of us have seen both. Beer Wonder and I got together on the fourth row of the biggest IMAX theater in the world. Yeah, we had a beer afterwards.
It's a lot of Oppenheimer, very tall, right in your face.
Yeah.
It was.
Three stories.
You could see every nose hair. You felt like you could climb right up in it. It was very intense.
It was.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I got some bad news just coming in over the wire.
Oh no!
The Fisherman's Pumpkin Stout is no longer in production.
Oh, that's a shame.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. But there was nutmeg in it.
Oh, say that. What?
There's nutmeg in here.
Yeah. All right.
Thank goodness.
That was a reach, but I had to obligate the.
Now
the
back to your
sound,
regularly scheduled program.
Yeah, but yes, you're. Yeah, I also noticed. I don't know if I would have noticed this as much in a traditional theater, but lots and lots of close-ups.
Yeah,
Christopher Nolan loves his close-ups.
Yeah, fourth row was probably a little too close, especially for the type of what was it, 70 IMAX, 70 millimeter IMAX?
70 millimeter IMAX.
Yeah, I think in a traditional theater it might have been a little more bearable, but fourth row in that huge 3 stories of of Oppenheimer's nose might be a little too close for you. I fortunately got to see it in the center row, which is apparently Christopher Nolan said that is the way to see it in 70 millimeter IMAX. There's only 12 in the country, so he's telling the entire world to see it in 12 different theaters, but right. Center row, center row.
I don't think I'll be going back to have that experience as much as I enjoyed the movie, but I don't know if I need it to prove that whether or not Christopher Nolan is right or not. But I'm sure It was a wonderful, probably better that we had. I had just been since it was released, it was that theater was sold out for every performance of every day for like 6 weeks, and so by the time we were finally able to get tickets, I'm like, all right. I reached out to Beer Wonder and I said, do you want to go see Oppenheimer 2 weeks on a Monday afternoon? And, and amazingly,
in advance.
Amazingly, Beer Wonder was available on just a random date I threw at him. So that told me it was fate. We had to do it. Yeah, it was. And then we wound up going to Malachi's afterwards, which is a great old Irish bar in that neighborhood.
Where we saw people being shitty to a bartender, which is, I know, one of the Beer Vengers' credos, which is never be shitty to your bartenders.
Yeah.
Don't fight them. Help them out and make sure you tip.
Yep.
I would imagine that Malachi's bartenders were not going to take too much.
No, she was not. She was nicer to them than they deserved, but she didn't put up with that shit.
Yeah. She told them off, but yeah, she could have gone farther, in our opinion. So don't be shitty to your bartenders.
Yeah, that's a rough place. Not rough, but it's a real New York place. Don't mess with the employees there.
And what do we all think of Barbie?
Well, I thought it was funny, clever, and I just thought it was not the hype that it's gotten.
Well, how could it possibly be? Yeah,
the second coming, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah,
it's easy to look at Margot Robbie for a couple hours. So
true enough. I think that was the point the filmmakers were making. Yeah, I think that's what Greta Gerwig is saying. Is like, well, at least they'll be looking at her. So
right. Well, she even mentions it with the narration at one point.
That's right. It was one Helen Mirren. Yeah.
Yeah, Helen Mirren. Having cast Margot Robbie in this role maybe is not the best point for her to say that she's not good enough, but we must all move on. Um,
Yeah.
what I liked is the layers, not only
Yeah.
with the Barbie accessories and everything being real and bringing out some real weird ones like Sugar Daddy Ken.
Sure.
And the brats.
And what's it? What's the magic earring, Ken?
Magic earring, right? Yes. But also the layers of movie making, movie styles that Greta Gerwig brought in, different films that really inspired her. She emulated and paid homage to that are so subtle that you don't. I didn't catch them on first glance.
Oh, see, I guess I'm going right to unsubtle one. I loved the 2001 opening.
Oh, sure, yeah, that's the most, very
Yeah.
like that's in your face.
Spectacular. That was spectacular. Yeah, that was wonderful. Yeah. If you haven't listened to the soundtrack, if you have not put that on your rotation, it is pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm gonna start listening to that now.
Yeah. I mean, it starts with some Lizzo, you get some Dua Lipa in there. Like it's a pretty packed soundtrack.
I just remember at one point thinking, this is a really weird movie. And I mean, in the most positive way, and how amazing that a movie that weird has made $1 billion.
Yeah.
That does not happen often.
And also, like, I got to give it to them. I think if I read somewhere it was $150 million spent on the movie, and $100 million spent on the marketing.
Wow.
And if you were watching some of the things that they were doing sort of in the lead up to all of this and where Barbie was showing up, and they built the Barbie dream house that you could actually rent out on Airbnb in Malibu. And they had Barbie stuff like in the United Arab Emirates. They were all over the place. They really kind of set themselves up for a lot of success. And it's a movie that you go into with this idea of like, oh my God, Barbie, and then it kind of sucker punches you.
Yeah.
In the best way.
I appreciate that. Yeah. In the best way. Yes. 100% the best way.
Well, we're closing in on
great cast too.
Yes.
I mean, the cast was excellent.
Yeah,
Ryan Gosling was really good as Ken. I thought it was hilarious.
Great clown role.
Yeah,
I never even knew about Alan before, and Michael Cera was great as Alan.
Oh yeah,
he fits in all the Ken clothes. Didn't you know?
Because
all right,
well,
we're closing in on an hour, and I think we can't put this off any longer. It is time for the sacred naming ritual.
Snap. All right.
Yeah. So I've got a pitch, and here's we're breaking a lot of conventions, so I'm ready to have this one done. But we did have this moment of John introducing us to Serpentine and Circuitous together, and he has informed us that he has had a nomadic journey, and so by mashing these things together, I will put forward as a possibility with no beer references, so probably not the right one, but the Circuitous Nomad.
The Circuitous Nomad.
Yes.
All right. Or the okay. Or Circuitine. Yeah, I think yours is probably better. But those are both good ones. Yeah. All right.
Either way, I think we need to add Circuitous just to the world. I think that is something that needs to exist.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first on the Beer Avengers podcast. John gets 10%. But
Circuitous Nomad. All right.
But Circuitous, I think we just need to add to the vocabulary as the accurate term for when you really go on a crazy journey to get somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll give it a pitch. How about we've got the very colorful man, and your name is Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a mad Guinness enthusiast.
Yeah.
What about the toucan?
Ooh, I like that.
It's funny because I was
solid.
I almost when you were talking about all of your Guinness swag that you have, I was just remembering that I was at a bar earlier today and they had like a coffee mug. That's where they're keeping all the straws for the cocktails, and it was one of those Guinness things. The Guinness is good for you thing with the toucan on there. So the toucan.
There you go. The toucan. That's a solid choice.
And they add the word "can" there as kind of a beer reference.
Should we spell it TWOCAN? Okay, maybe
that's good. That's good. That's a good subtlety.
Yeah.
But I didn't see a lot of excitement from John on that one. So Glenn, Glenn, we call him Glenn.
Yes.
No,
Well,
I
we
don't know.
could call him Glenn. I don't know.
I don't know. That would be an interesting option. Be
Yeah,
confusing for some people.
That just came to my head for some
it's
reason.
my mother's maiden name, so I'd rather not.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I'm glad we nixed one.
Yeah.
Which one is Toucan? Is your mother's maiden name?
No,
Glenn. Okay,
right.
Yeah.
All right, I'm drawing a blank, so I'm going to go straight to John and see if he has anything he's come up with.
Because it is ultimately your decision.
That is true. It is your
is,
decision. The name must call to you.
You know, I really am enjoying the two options. Could I give a thought, maybe a request or just a thought, and throw it back to you and see what would be better? But adding, so either one are both are great, but adding super chilled in front of them.
Oh,
super chilled. So
I think this super chilled. Do you want to just be super chill?
Yeah,
super
I
chilled.
think,
I think super chilled is actually a solid name.
Yeah,
I
feel like anything in addition to super chilled would just be gilding the lily.
Gilding. Yeah, and we don't do that around here.
Well,
but here's the thing: do we want super chilled or super chill?
Or the super chiller.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, actually, that I did kind of chill all of your ideas right then. So I think I am the super chiller.
No, you took the lily, you smashed it, and you showed up with a rose.
It's gotta be what we only throw these names out to give people
artistic.
You're coming up with your own name is the best way to go.
It's honestly the best way to go.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the best thing I had was another mashup where I was thinking take part of Nomad and take Toucan and call you the Mad Toucan. But I think super chiller. Do
I like
the Mad Toucan. So we'll say,
what does that have to do with beer? It's very
well. It does. It does. But yeah. So what do we think? Super chill, super chilled, super chiller,
or all three,
depending on the day.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think super chiller is a good, but then the nicknames can pop on in.
SC every once in a while, you know.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Right. Santa Claus. Super, or it could be like Hop Out Huck, aka the Pale Male. It'd be Super Chiller, aka the Mad Toucan.
I like it. I love it. I love it. All right.
Well,
this was a successful naming, y'all.
I think so.
Mr. Chill, thanks for joining us today.
Yes,
come back and have you as part of the Beer Avenger family,
or the Beer Avenger verse, as we say sometimes.
Yeah. Now, if the Beer Avengers out there who are, keeping an eye on us would love to just check in on all these adventures, hey, Captain, where can they find us on the interwebs?
Well, there's always just look for the Beer Avengers and throw that in Google, and a lot of this stuff will come up. But if you put the @ symbol before the Beer Avengers as one word, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. I mean, we're on Threads, but no one's on Threads. And we're kind of keeping our distance from Twitter, even though we're there as well. Or if you just want to do an email, the Beer Avengers at gmail.com. What did I forget?
You forgot the coolest one, the Tiki Talks.
Oh, the Tiki Talks. We haven't put anything on there lately.
Posted in a while, but yeah, we're there.
But that is the best place to see a brulee video, I think.
That's true.
Wonderful.
Even if we can't remember what that poker's called.
And John, if you also talk on the internet, and
yes, we didn't even mention the two-sided.
Yeah,
there two is in the name of your podcast, so Toucan is there too.
Yeah. Is there a place? Is there anything you'd like to plug? Is there anything if people want to find out more about you, they should be looking?
Yes. Thank you for throwing it to me, gentlemen. And actually, on that note, Two-Sided, the podcast Two-Sided is one that my boy Pete and myself do twice a week. If you want to listen to all of it, you go to the Stereo app. But most people aren't on the Stereo app, so we also have Spotify and Apple Pod and Amazon Music and YouTube. All of those,
okay.
And Instagram, YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, and Tweety, XXX. All of them are at Two-Sided Pod, TWO Sided Pod. And a little tradition that we do on our show is we have shots. And so I have not told you about this beforehand, and I'm not expecting anything, but I just want to end this with, I'm going to cheers, raise a little bit of whiskey to you all. I got some Evan Williams here, and
Good
I
stuff.
just wanted to say, Beer Avengers, thank you so much for having me, and thanks for the time. It's been fantastic. I appreciate it, and I love the name. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
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 All right, I can't think of a better way than to end this.
That was
other,
perfect.
Other than I think Huck, is your uke over there?
Oh,
Your
snap.
brand
Yeah,
new,
all
exciting uke. Thanks for listening, everyone. And thanks for being here.
Oh,
Super
John,
Chiller.
you gonna join me on the? You're gonna join me on the outro here?
Well, a little bit.
All right. Yeah, play us out, Huck and the Mad Toucan. Super Chiller.
Super Chiller. We're the beer Avengers, beer Avengers, beer Avengers. We're the Avengers.